The next concept is gravitational potential energy. What is this gravitational potential energy? The potential energy of a body with respect to its position above the earth is called gravitational potential energy. The potential energy of a body with respect to its position above the earth or at any point on the earth. Any point means we can include the depth position also. Is called gravitational potential energy. For every physical quantity, there is an expression. Now we are going to derive the expression for this physical quantity. Let us take a body of mass capital M. From the center of it, let us assume a point P. This point P is, we can say it as point mass. We can say that the force of attraction between these 2 point masses is capital G, capital M, small m by r square. We can say the distance from here to here is small r. But on the same line, just try to assume a body which is at a distance of infinity and it was travelled from A to B. Means the body was brought back to B from A. The distance from M to A is, let us say, x. This small displacement is dx. Means we did some work to move the body from A to B. The work done by a body to move it from one position to another position automatically will be stored in a form of energy. But our business is to find out the potential energy of this body in this situation. So, the gravitational force F is equal to G capital M small m by r square, we can write. The work done to move the body through a distance dx is equal to F into dx. The work done in moving the body from A to B is dw is equal to F dot dx. Because the displacement is very small, that's why the displacement is very small, we are representing in brackets. So, dw is equal to, what is the F value? G capital M small m by r square into dx. Let us say this r is x, therefore dw is equal to G capital M small m by x square into dx. This is the work done to move the object from A to B, nothing but the small displacement dx. Then what is the total work done in moving the object from A to M? That is nothing but integration of the physical quantities. Therefore, for small displacement, dw is equal to f dot dx, nothing but capital G capital M small m by x square into dx. The total work done to move the object from infinity to a distance r is equal to integral dw from the limits infinity to r is equal to integral G capital M small m by x square into dx from the limits infinity to r. So we are writing this G m as constants outside into integral infinity to r into dx by x square. Therefore, it is G m into infinity to r under the limits x power minus 2 dx. Integral x power n dx is equal to x power n plus 1 by n plus 1. Integral x power n dx is equal to x power n plus 1 by n plus 1 plus some constant. In place of n we have minus 2. Therefore, work done is equal to G m into x power minus 2 plus 1 by minus 2 plus 1 under the limits infinity to r. Therefore, this will be G m into x power minus 1 by minus 1 from the limits infinity to r. X power minus 1 is nothing but 1 by x, minus 1 if it goes up minus G m. Therefore, it is minus G m into 1 by x from the limits infinity to r, that is equal to work done. Therefore, the rule in the integration is we should substitute the upper limit minus lower limit. Therefore, w is equal to minus G m into 1 by r minus 1 by infinity. Therefore, it is minus G m by r, 1 by infinity is 0, therefore G m into 0 is 0. Therefore, work done is equal to minus G m by r. So, the work done in moving a body from infinity to a distance r is stored in a form of potential energy. That is why it is the expression for the gravitational potential energy. Therefore, GPE is equal to minus G capital M small m by r. This is the expression for the gravitational potential energy. The concept is orbital velocity. We know that all planets are revolving around the sun in their own orbits. In atomic structure, we are saying that those all orbits are saying to be energy levels also. So, what is this orbital velocity? In general words, we can say that the orbital velocity is the minimum velocity that is required to stay in that orbit to rotate about a fixed point or to revolve around the fixed point. Let us suppose, take any planet. This is the origin. Let us suppose this is sun, the radius. A planet is revolving around this sun in their own orbit at a height h from its radius. Suppose if it is to r, it is from h. Therefore, the total is r plus h. Suppose Earth also had many satellites. Natural is moon, so and the artificial is so many. So, the radius of the earth is r, and one satellite is rotating or revolving around the sun around the earth at a height h. That means the total distance of that particular satellite from the origin of the or center of the earth is r plus h. Whenever an object is revolving around an object in circular path, it is obeying the centripetal force. But some other force is also reason for holding this object in the centripetal force. That means this is one planet Earth, this is another satellite. Between a planet and satellite, we can expect some gravitational force also. In this case, the gravitational force is balanced by centripetal force. The gravitational force is balanced by centripetal force. So the gravitational force at a height r plus h is equal to g m by r plus h whole square, because it is g m by r square. Centripetal force is m v naught square by r plus h. So this capital M and capital M will get cancelled, which are on the other sides. Therefore, v naught square is equal to gm into r plus h by r plus h whole square. This r plus h in r plus h square, it will be cancelled by r plus h times. Therefore, v naught square is equal to gm by r plus h, where v naught is orbital velocity. If r is much greater than h, then we can expect r plus h is approximately equal to r. Means the position of the planet around the earth is much greater, much less than the radius of earth. Suppose the radius of earth is some 6,400 kilometers and the position of this planet around the earth is some 1 kilometer. Let us suppose in this case r plus h is approximately equal to r. Therefore, I am substituting these values. V naught square is equal to gm by r. So v naught square is equal to, I am multiplying this whole equation with capital R and dividing with capital R. Therefore, gm by r into r by r. So v naught square is equal to gm by r into r. This r into r is nothing but r square. Gm by r square into r. This gm by r square is nothing but the small g. Therefore, v naught square is equal to small g into r. Therefore, v naught is equal to under root gr. This is the expression for orbital velocity of a planet or any satellite around a fixed position. It is under the square root of acceleration due to gravity into a radius of earth. Next concept is escape velocity. Escape velocity means, suppose we are watching many helicopters and many planes. They are able to overcome the gravitational influence of the earth. That's why they are easily doing the journey. But some objects, they need some velocity, so that velocity is possibly may overcome the gravitational influence of the object. That means the escape velocity is represented as the minimum velocity required to a projectile to overcome the gravitational influence or the gravitational force to do the journey. There is a particular value of a velocity which is required to a projectile, whether it is thrown upward, so it should be with some velocity associated. That velocity should overcome the gravitational influence on that object. So this velocity is called escape velocity. Whenever the body is overcoming the gravitational influence, its kinetic energy is equal to potential energy. Ke is equal to potential energy. So the gravitational kinetic energy is equal to half m v square. Potential energy is equal to minus g capital M small m by r, where minus indicates the negative gradient of the energy is equal to potential energy. Small m and small m will get cancelled on either sides. Therefore, V E square is equal to 2 gm by r. Therefore, V E square is equal to 2 gm by r. I am multiplying and dividing the equation with capital R, nothing but the radius of Earth. Therefore, it is 2 gm by r square into r. This whole part will become gm by r square. Therefore, 2 gm by r square is nothing but g into r is equal to V E square. Therefore, V E is equal to square root of 2gr. We know that VE is equal to root 2 into root gr. So, it is nothing but root 2 into V naught is equal to VE. So, escape velocity is equal to root 2 times of orbital velocity. If you substitute these values, we will get escape velocity 11.2 kilometers per second. Whenever the object able to gain this much velocity per second, then it may overcome the gravitational influence. Now we will discuss a problem or a numerical which is based on the concept of escape velocity. The content in the problem is calculate the escape velocity of an object on planet Earth. No value was given in the problem, but we can easily find out the escape velocity. We know that escape velocity VE is equal to square root of 2gr. We will take g is equal to 9.8 meters per second square. R is equal to radius of Earth, that is 6400 kilometers. So we can write it as 6.4 into 10 to the power of 6 meters. So now we are substituting. VE is equal to square root of 2 into g is equal to 9.8, r is equal to 6.4 into 10 to the power of 6. So we can write the square root of 19.6 into 6.4 into 10 to the power of 6. We can write this one as 1.96 into 64 into 10 to the power of 6. Root of 1.96 is 1.4, root of 64 is 8, root of 10 power 6 is 10 cube. So this will be 1.4 into 8 into 10 cube meters. Therefore it is 11.2 into 10 to the power of meters per second. It will be written as 11.2 kilometers per second. This should be the escape velocity of an object or any other planet or any other satellite which is on the surface of planet Earth. This is equal to 11.2 kilometers per second. Now we will discuss about the launching of a satellite. The rocket or the satellite launching vehicles are called rockets. These rockets, to launch the satellites, the scientists are using multi-stage rockets. The rocket is one of the best example for mass variable system. To achieve the greater speed which is equal to the escape velocity, this multi-stage system is must and should to launch the satellites. Let us see the rough sketch of this multi-stage rocket system. This is the first chamber, this is the second chamber, this is the third chamber, this is the fourth chamber. Here the fuel will be. The exhaust of the flame which is downwards, it creates a lot of force to move the rocket upwards. Like this, the entire fuel which was in this first block or the down block was burnt completely. Then it will give such a great energy to the next level. Same process will be repeated in the second chamber. The same process will be repeated in the third chamber. Finally, in this this chamber which is at the top, there this rocket contains the satellite which is to be launched in the space. So this branch contains the satellite. What we can expect from this? The mass of this rocket system or multi-rocket system is decreasing continuously. Therefore, we can write this one as dm by dt. The satellites which are launched by these type of multi-stage rockets are called artificial satellites. These artificial satellites are many types with respect to the use and coverage area. Many countries are launching these artificial satellites through the vehicles. For our India, it is some PSLV vehicle, Polar Satellite Launching Vehicle. Like that, many vehicles are used to launch the satellites. The satellites which are launched due to this agreement, so they have many uses with respect to the different coverage area and different purpose. Now this satellite technology is useful in many areas in our daily life. The first nature of the artificial satellite or first type of the artificial satellite is first one, geostationary satellite. What is the meaning of geostationary? Suppose this is the path of the earth around the sun. At any point on the sun, on the earth, means at any axis on the earth, if you observe a satellite, it seems to be stationary, but it is not actually in stationary, seems to be stationary. Means if a satellite seems to be or observed to be stationary, when it is observed from any point on the surface of the earth, those satellites are called geostationary satellites. Seems to be stationary from any point on the surface of earth. What is the reason behind this observation? The reason is, we know that period of revolution of earth around the sun is 24 hours. This 24 hours is period of revolution of Earth around the Sun. The point to be noted in this case is the stationary satellites are nothing but the geostationary satellites are also having the same period of revolution around the Earth. So this is the time for period of revolution for satellites. So for satellites and for the Earth, they both has the same period of revolution with respect to the reference points. That's why they are seems to be moving with the same velocity. That's why these satellites are seems to be observed it stationary at any point. The main point here is the time period of revolution for both Earth and planet are same, or Earth and satellite are same. Now we will discuss the qualities of the geostationary satellite. These geostationary satellites are placed at a height of 36,000 kilometers from the surface of Earth. That is the first point. These are located at 36,000 kilometers above the surface of Earth. They should be placed on the horizontal surface of the Earth or horizontal layer of the Earth. Placed at horizontal surface of Earth. Third point, the sense of revolution of this geostationary satellite should be same with the sense of revolution of Earth. Sense of revolution. Sense of revolution means revolution may take place in two types: clockwise revolution and anti-clockwise revolution. So the sense of revolution of the satellite should be same with the Earth's sense of revolution. As that of Earth. And finally, the time period of revolution is also same. Whenever a satellite possesses and satisfies these four conditions, then only they are said to be geostationary satellites. Now we will discuss what are the uses of these geostationary satellites. Now we will see the uses of geostationary satellites. These satellites, mainly the sense of revolution is the same with the sense of revolution of Earth. That's why these geostationary satellites are mainly used for communicating. Means communication of TV signals, radio signals, So in these radio signals, some short wavelength are used for the one type of communication. The long wavelength is used for the another type of communication. So because of the ability to send the radio signals to the different levels, these geostationary satellites are useful to spying purpose. sometimes different countries use it to drop some drones for the spying, to know the secrets of some different countries when they need. So these geostationary satellites are useful for the spying purpose also. Third example, if you want to see the research or the different ores of the different minerals at the different places of the earth, these geostationary satellites are very much helpful. So to find the mineral deposits on the surface of earth, one more example, one more use of the geostationary satellite is to observe the change in the atmosphere at different layers of the earth. To observe or to study the atmospheric changes. To study the different planets, also the geostationary satellites are useful. To find the exact shape of the earth, these geostationary satellites are very much helpful. Whenever the natural calamities are occurred, like earthquake, tsunami, there is a possibility for a slight change in the shape of earth. The picture of the earth at that given part will be discovered and discussed by the geostationary satellites. So these satellites are useful to discover the exact shape of the earth. Among this communication is a most revolutionary thought by the geostationary satellite launching. The next category of artificial satellites are polar satellites. This is the shape of the earth around the sun. We know that the major axis is passing through the equator of the earth, but the minor axis is passing through the poles, North Pole and South Pole. If this is the case, what we can understand is some satellites which revolves around the polar axis of the earth. These type of satellites are called polar satellites. The satellites which revolves around the polar axis of earth are called polar satellites. The radius of this polar orbit or polar axis, other name is also polar orbit. So the radius of this polar axis or polar orbit is around 500 to 800 kilometers. That means we can say that this earth is rotating like this around the polar axis. So 500 to 800 kilometers, when compared to the geostationary satellite site, it is very low latitude. So low latitude. So what we can say is these are revolving around the North Pole to South Pole, again from South Pole to North Pole. So Some examples of this European polar satellites are, first one is European Star. These polar satellites are launched by the different European and Asian countries for different purpose. The second one is IERS by India. Where IERS means Indian Earth Resource Satellite. The another one is European Spot and Sea Star also. Sea Star, European Spot. These are all the examples of polar satellites which are revolving around the polar orbit of the Earth. Now we will discuss the different uses of these polar satellites. What are the uses of polar satellites? So the first use is these polar satellites are useful to monitor the weather and environmental changes. Monitoring the weather and environmental changes. These polar satellites will give the better results and best results than geostationary. This gives the better results than geostationary satellites. The second use of polar satellites are, they are useful to spying work for military purpose. When the military wants to find out the enemy bunkers, so this is for the spying work, these polar satellites are useful. Third one, one of the British polar satellite has discovered the hole in the ozone layer. British polar satellite has discovered the hole in the ozone layer. So when a polar satellite is able to find the hole in the ozone layer, that means these polar satellites are able to find the topography on the different planets also. So that's why we can list out that one also, one of the uses. So it is able to, it can study the topography on Mars, Venus, etc., etc. Like Jupiter also we can list out. So for these type of planets which are invisible with the natural conditions, these polar satellites can give the topography and what are the situations on the surface of these satellites which can be observed by the polar satellites. The discussion is, there are satellites which are revolving around the Earth, but the Earth is revolving around the Sun. This whole revolution in the space is said to be the celestial object's motion. Mr. Newton, one of the great scientists, has applied the gravitational force for this celestial object's motion also. That means he has applied the application of this gravitational force on the planetary motion. While he applied the gravitational force on the planetary motion, Kepler, one of the great scientists, Johannes Kepler, took the advantage of that, and he has derived 3 laws which with regards of the planetary motion. These are said to be Kepler's laws of planetary motion. Means when a planet which is revolving around any other reference point, they should follow some rules. These rules are called the laws of planetary motion, which are discovered by the Kepler. What are those? There are 3 laws. First one, second one, third one. The first one is called as law of orbits. The second one is called the second one is called as law of areas. Third law is called law of periods. Period in the sense time period. Now we will discuss these 3 laws with the equation parts. The first law is law of orbits. This is also called Kepler's first law of planetary motion. So, what we can understand about this law? Let us assume the planets which are around the sun are moving in the elliptical orbits like this. The statement for this one is all the planets revolving around the sun in elliptical orbits when sun is situated at one of its focus. All the planets are revolving around the sun in elliptical orbits where sun is situated at one of its focus, or we can say foci. So what is the explanation about this statement? Let us say this is the planet. If suppose this is the sun. The line which joins the positions of the sun to the planet horizontally is called semi-major axis. Suppose if this planet is revolving around the sun and it turns to this position, some 90 degrees angle when compared to the circular motion. So this is called semi-minor axis. We can say that if this is the planet, we can assume one position as focus of the sun, and this is also another position of the focus of sun. So let me write the positions F1 and F2, where F1 and F2 are the different focus of the sun which is revolving around the different planets. So what we can say that in case of circular orbits, this F1 and F2 will merge together and the semi-major axis will become the radius. In circular orbits, semi-major axis is the radius. The symbol to represent the semi-major axis is, let us say, A, and minor axis is B. Sometimes in some of the standard textbooks, this major axis is represented by the capital R and minor axis was represented by the small r. So according to the given details, we can follow the symbols.